Hello, everybody. This is Dave Finale, and this is Real Estate Talk TGIF, episode 76. That's 75 weeks in a row. We had an extra show in there, so it's 76. That's pretty cool. I love that it's 75. I can't wait to go next week. But this week, we've got a great show today. We've got David Greenspan from Ontario, Canada, Mindshare 101. I'm sure people have seen David at different venues, different events. He was just recently at NAR. I actually attended one of his sessions, which was excellent about podcasting. But this is Real Estate Talk, TGIF. And you all know what that TGIF stands for, right? It stands for Thank God It's Finale. That's right. Thank God It's Finale. It is Friday, but thank God it's finale. So one little twist I can get. So David, welcome. Thank you so much for being on. This is a pleasure and an honor.
Oh, man. The honor's right back at you, man. It was great to meet you in San Fran. I'm glad we connected. And I know ever since with the conversation we've been having, it's just easy convo. So I'm excited to be here today. Thank you for the invitation.
Excellent. You're welcome. You're welcome. You're welcome.
I'm just getting this out for us across some of the Facebook waves right now, too.
Okay, great. So you do that as we talk. So I like to start out with everybody and ask them their story, how they got to where they are today. I mean, like I said, you speak at a lot of national events. You're a keynote speaker. You know, you've got some great stuff going on. And what I like, of course, I'm always going to like people that are blunt, straight to the point and no bullshit. So I really like that. So tell us your story a little bit so, people can get an idea of who you are and what you are.
Absolutely, man. For me, I've been doing what I'm doing now for, there's a mix of what I'm doing, but I've been in the industry, in the real estate industry, mortgage industry, playing in this, this playground now for about 14 years. But prior to that, I had grown up in a real estate office. My father was a broker owner of an office for the first 20 years of my life. So, for me, I go back to the days of, typewriters in the office, black and white MLS tear sheets, whiteout, whiteboards, that type of world, almost prior to the cell phone. You remember that big purse that people used to carry around and, they'd have the phone attached with the wire and the big curly thing off the car. That's where I come from. Days of pagers, running around with quarters in your pocket to make the phone calls. And the reality is, as we have progressed through that and moved into this technology world, there's a lot of things that have evolved in this business. And there's a lot of things that, the tried, tested, and true of the old school still remain. So for me, through that progression now of going into marketing and having a company called KITS, Keep in Touch Systems, which is really a company that's focused on helping people stay in touch with their number one audience, which is the database, right? We know referrals and networking and connections with people. That's really where a lot of the business comes from in this business. So with that, we've provided a system to make it easy to automate some of the process of staying in touch so that we can do what's, constantly, as I coined the term, build Mindshare. Now, Mindshare itself evolved a number of years ago through, presentations and education. It started turning into this thing of, we've got to understand what are the problems that people are facing out there? What are the challenges? And why are people making certain decisions that they're making based on how they run their business or how they do their marketing or what they do out there? How they earn a living. And I have found so many people out there are making mistakes or doing things based on misconceptions or what's trending or what somebody else told me to do, but I'm not really going to look into it because I'm not too, I don't have the time. I'm way too busy for that.
Right.
Well, somebody's got to be real blunt about these things and at least open people's eyes to why. And I'm not saying for me, hey, I know everything. And I'm not saying I've got the be all and end all. Really, a lot of what I'm doing is I'm trying to help you bring that subconscious, make it conscious so that when you're analyzing or you're doing it, you at least have some rhyme and reason to why. And then you understand what it takes because, what I studied is marketing and what I've been doing for 14 years is marketing. Well, if you're going to do this, how are you going to support it with that? How are you going to make the two work? So I like to be a voice of reason out there. And that's where about 4-ish years ago, this whole concept around Mindshare really started to take wind and started to become education, keynote speaking, and turn into coaching and group coaching and one-to-one coaching and consulting. And, and that's all more just from the value that was out there of people wanting more of it. And I got to tell you, sitting here where I am today, I've got the Mindshare podcast. Yeah, I've got the Mindshare Challenge, which is a group training program. We've got, Mindshare one-to-one consulting. There's the KITS program. There's the keynote speaking. All of that just to bring education to the industry. And it is an absolute blast. I mean, for the amount of times you come off a stage or you help people achieve something and they go, oh man, thank you. And that was inspiring. What I want everybody to know is the more I hear that, the more inspired I become. And the more you just want to get out there and help more people. You know, somebody had posted the other day, they said, if you could do anything in life and money was no object, what would it be? And I said, I'd want to help everybody I possibly can achieve everything they possibly want. And I'd ride my Harley and play hockey as much as I could as well. You know, but that's really what it comes down to. That's kind of the journey where we're at today.
I love that. I love that simply because, you know, a lot of people will think more the other way of, okay, well, where would I go? What would I do? What would I buy? For me, it's really similar to what you said. I've said this on one of my broadcasts, and I'll say it now on this broadcast. Is my objective, and I hope it's a really low number. I want to be able to help 1,000 people by this time next year. That is my objective, to help 1,000 people one way or the other. And I've already started keeping count, and I'm actually writing names down if I can, whatever names I can write down.
But here's one thing I got to say to that, Dave. Sorry to cut you off there, but here's one thing I got to say is you are on episode what? What episode is this?
76.
Okay. For however many people watching us live right now, for however many people are going to watch the recording, for however many people are exposed to the fact that we are live right now, whether they tune in at this moment or not.
Right.
There are way more people that say absolutely nothing. And that's something that everybody needs to understand. For the most part, when we're putting out content, be it video, be it podcast, be it talking to people, we help a lot more people than we will ever know about. So I got no doubt in my mind you're going to crush 1,000. Crush.
Thank you. And we actually talked about that the other day, because just for everybody else, this is a really good question for everyone to hear. Is I asked you, you know, with your speaking stuff and your programs you built, do you ever feel that you're not, okay, I guess the best way to put it is you're not good enough, right? And one of the places I go to work, there's a mirror, and right above where your face would be, because it's head height, it says you're good enough. And one of the things, the main reason for the question is, you know, with you and I, we're out there doing a lot of different things, trying to help as many people as we can. And people need to understand that that's our main goal, is to help. Money comes. Okay, money's going to come, right? We're going to get paid for what we do. But the point is, my goal is to help, right? And then I look at everybody else in my space, what I'm trying to do. And I say, wow, look at what they're doing. That's really cool. And I think about, I doubt myself at times. And I asked you the same question. Have you ever doubted yourself when you see other people trying to do what you're, or are doing what you're trying to do? Because everybody should listen to that and think the same question and listen to your answer.
I doubt myself often. Absolutely. However, I think that when you live a life of gratitude and you live a life of intentions, and I know some people are rolling their eyes right now and go, here we go again. But until you live it, you don't truly understand what that means. And once you start living and you start realizing the value you do provide out there, it's not about I'm up here and everybody else is down. Not at all, man. Absolutely. I feel like I'm constantly looking up going, what else can I do? What else can I do? Right? As opposed to looking down and going, stand by, I got to go on vacation. That's not how it goes. You see, we know this. This world works on reciprocity, and it's not give and you shall receive in terms of, you know, you give something and people are going to give you something back. You can't expect that. Instead, we know that if we can be out there helping people on a regular basis, and you've got to live this, you've got to do it consistently. This is not about doing it once and going, okay, so what now? This is about truly changing the way you wake up, the way you go to bed, and what you do every single day, and being able to look back after 70-something episodes or 100-something episodes or whatever after your first episode and say to yourself, okay, I have to keep going. And so there's always going to be a sense of doubt, because until you get to that point, I mean, you know, look at Jeff Bezos, or look at you know, Mark Zuckerberg, or look at any of these guys, right?
Yeah.
Any of these guys guaranteed had some sort of doubt somewhere, right? Tesla, did he think it was going to work right off the hop? I mean, Branson sending a space shuttle up to, I mean, yeah, it's easy to say to the world, I got this, it's going to work, but we are all human beings. And when we look in that mirror, we know at some point what's really going on back here, no matter what everybody else sees. So now it comes down to, of course, everybody's going to have that thought. Like, Dave, I asked the same thing to a bunch of speakers years ago. And I said, you know, to some people that are like big time, they're getting paid a lot of money to speak for an hour. And I said, you know, do you ever get nervous? They're like, look, man, if you don't get nervous, something's wrong with you. And I thought, oh, that's interesting. And I mean, I'll tell you now, I get jacked. Like when I know I'm going to get on stage and do something, I'm getting excited because I know what's about to go down on that stage. Like I know the energy we're going to have. I know the fun we're going to have. I know that people are going to walk away going, I love it. However, I am not, I'm not ignorant to the fact that not everybody in that room is absolutely going to love it. And so this now comes back to this is the more we do, and this even dovetails from what we just said a moment ago, right?
Yes.
The more we do it, the more real we become. We are always going to have some people that say to us, I didn't like that. You should have changed this. I don't like the way he sounds or the way he looks. I don't like the fact that he wears a hat, right? Whatever. There are going to be so many more people that actually do feed off of what you're doing, yet those people probably rarely say anything. So you want to help 1,000 people. The reality is when you're trying to help 1,000, you're helping way more than that, but you're only maybe going to hear from 1,000. Right. So that sense of doubt, that is human nature because we're out there with people, and the more we think about people, and I think I shared this with you the other day, but it was that thought there where you're thinking to yourself again, the same thing. How many people are actually telling me they like it? Well, if that small group is telling me that they like things, well, there must be a much bigger group that likes it. So now, even on that sense of doubt that you have, and look, that could be to anybody watching and listening to this right now, that could be that simple little Facebook post you put up today, because how many times we've heard from people, oh, but I don't think people care about what I have to say. Yeah, so like, why do people care about what I have to say, right? Yeah. Why?
Right.
Well, because I'm going to keep saying it. I'm going to keep being out there and I'm going to keep trying to help people. And then people are going to realize that I'm helping other people. And they're going to go, well, wait a second, what's he up to? But that only comes from the consistency in doing it consistently. Right.
See, it's funny. I mean, we talked about this the other day. I asked you that question, the same question the other day. And, you told a story about someone that reached out to you or said something to you. And then I was thinking after that conversation that the same thing happened to me, right? Someone reach out and say, hey, thanks for everything you do. We got into a conversation about something else. And I didn't even know this guy had seen any of my stuff. And at the end, when we're saying, okay, hey, thanks for your time, he goes, hey man, keep doing those broadcasts. I love what you do.
Right. Hey, the first time I remember, I was in the garden in the spring doing some gardening, getting the backyard prepped and whatever. And I looked down at my email and go figure why I was looking at email while I'm gardening. But anyways, I looked at my email and I see this email that comes from a producer of a radio show that is very, very well known here in Toronto. And I looked at the email and it says, hey, David, my name is so-and-so. We've been following you for the past couple of years. And we were interested, curious to know how we reworded it. Would you like to be on the show? And I sat there going, first of all, like, hell yeah. But wait a second. Past 2 years, I don't know who the hell you are. I've never heard from you.
Right.
Why haven't you ever popped your head up before?
Right.
So look at everything that happened to get me there. I didn't know that these people were watching. I didn't know the impact and the effect I was having on people. And when I use the word I really want to talk, on behalf of any of us putting out content or any of us that are essentially popping our heads up in this big wide world and go, I exist, right? I didn't know. So you've got to be consistent. And I love this word about consistency, but it is the hardest thing for anybody to pull off is consistency.
Absolutely.
How often I hear from people, yeah, but what about this? And yeah, what about that? Yeah. And I was talking to a lady the other day. We were talking about this and she was one of my coaching clients. She says, but how? And we always have these issues and everything else. I said, find that one thing. Find that one thing in life that you can be consistent about. See, for me, that one thing, I mean, aside from the many of, again, playing hockey and whatever, but for me, that one thing comes down to how I organize my day. Okay. And again, break that down from a macro idea to a micro idea of, again, going to bed with a grateful mindset and writing that stuff down. Like, I'm not talking about just thinking about it. I'm talking about getting it out of your head and seeing it on paper so you can truly go, oh my God, do I truly feel this way? Do I truly believe that? Do I truly have that? So it's being grateful. It's planning my day, taking 15 to 20 minutes every single night, no matter what the hell happens, where I am, if I'm at a hotel for a hockey tournament with my little man or anywhere else. I'm speaking one night and we just went back and everybody went out for dinner and I got to, get up tomorrow morning, catch an early flight. No. There's still time to plan because now that I plan, when I wake up tomorrow morning, I'm ready to rock. I am out of the gate. And just before I'm out of the gate, I now start going through the intentions. What do I have? whether I physically have it in my possession or not. So through that way of planning, that's for me what I'm consistent about. So for anybody here, it's find that one thing that you can consistently do, because consistency is the magic ingredient to anything we want to achieve in life. Anything. Consistency, the magic ingredient to things you don't want to achieve. If you are consistently bad about, your eating habits, well, guess what? You're not going to be in the best shape that you want to be in. If you were consistently bad about, not pulling off, or here, we talked about this, being late to appointments. Well, at some point you are going to lose out on way more opportunities than you can ever get.
Right.
Consistency will lead to the things that we either want in life or don't want in life. But that right there, that hard thing right there, and it's so easy to say.
Right.
But that is the hardest thing to pull off. When you can pull that off and find that one thing you're going to be consistent about, you will make a difference.
Well, that's, it's funny. We were talking about a little bit about this the other day, but, one of the things I talk about in my programs and stuff is about having a mindset of organization and being disciplined, right? And it can come back to being your own boss. It can come back to a lot of different things. I have a morning ritual that I go through, and ritual, routine, call it what you will. It's what I do for myself in the morning. I go through it all the time, and it energizes me to get rocking and rolling. And I do it before a workout. And if I don't want to work out, by the time I'm done with that, I want to work out because I'm psyched and ready to go. And I'm psyched and ready for the day. Ending your day with gratitude is also a really cool thing. I was talking to an agent the other day about, writing down what went well in your day before you go to bed, and kind of downloading the good stuff and how you're going to make tomorrow better is a real similar thing. But planning, I've been talking about planning a lot lately because we're in December. You should be implementing the things for next year that you want to do, and making a list for tomorrow. What's going to be good for tomorrow? Hitting the ground running is so important. And you talked about that. So when you set up your stuff that you're going to do, how are you setting it up to a point where it's specific, or is it just conceptual when you're doing that?
No. It's got to be specific. You got to be intentional, right? So for example, okay, perfect. This is perfect. We just talked about how people will tell us when we did bad. Most people won't tell us when we did good. This is something that we all grew up with our parents. This is something we experience when it comes to sports, in life, in business, right? We know the negative. We don't often hear the positive, but we got to just keep going. So now what happens? You make a phone call today and you were told no, and you didn't get it. Or you were working on a big deal and, well, you didn't get it. So how do you feel? And most people don't feel good about that. That bothers most people. And that's human nature. That's normal.
Right.
That said, did you get up today? Yeah. Are you healthy? Yeah. Did anything else go well today? Did you get a like on Facebook, maybe on a post you put up? Did you get an extra view on your podcast or your video? Did somebody come and shake your hand and say hello? Did something else good happen? And because of human nature, we are so focused on the negative and what went wrong and how that makes us feel inside that we don't give ourselves the ability to even feel better about the good things, the simple things in life that happened. Right. This is where the evening part comes in. Okay. This is where it's so important, because now you are about to lay your head down at night. Before you do that, and I'll sort of be repeated or broken record here, but the two things to answer that question is, one is taking those 15 to 20 minutes a night to be very, very specific. Okay. So what that means is I want to wake up today and I want to know what the hell I'm doing. David Greenspan, I need that. Because if I get up and I look at that calendar, there's nothing going on, buddy, with everything going on in my world, I may slip up on something. And I cannot afford to slip up on something, especially when I put out a video about being on time. Right. Okay. So now it's this idea of what is it specifically? So for example, if I want to have my social media game up to snuff, well, I'm going to line item the social media. It's going to say social media in my calendar. And if that's at 7 o'clock in the morning or 9 o'clock in the morning, or because my schedule can't be until 1 p.m., whatever. But I'm going to look at my day tonight, and this is going to happen tonight on Friday night, by the way, for Saturday. Okay. This doesn't stop. This isn't a 5-day-a-week routine. This is 7 days a week religiously. So I'm going to look at that and I'm going to say, okay, social media. Now in social media, in that line item, when I open that up, it's going to tell me what I'm doing. Why? Because I'm planning it. I'm thinking about it. I need to make sure I am consistent about it. So for example, today I knew we're doing our podcast. I knew this is some content I can share out to the world. And then later on today, I've also got my podcast that just aired this morning, got syndicated across iHeart and Google and iTunes and all that stuff. Well, the promo has to go out. And I say that like an open book to people, because if you follow me, you will see every Friday I am promoting my podcast. It's just the way it is.
Right.
So for that, though, if I don't write that down, I might just slip up and forget. So now you go social. Then it's like, well, we all know that we need to call people and see people. So what am I going to do my calls and, let's say, my email replies? Because I'm not a slave to people's email, by the way. And that's, again, about managing time. And no disrespect to anybody, love everybody, and thank you for the emails. But and I don't expect you to be a slave to mine, right? If we're working in the middle of a deal and it's like back and forth, different story. However, when I get my email, okay, cool, it's there, but I'm busy on a podcast right now. I cannot answer those emails. So I've got a line item in the schedule for when I'm going to answer email and when I'm going to make my phone calls. And in that time, that's where I'm going to get to it. I've got time where I have to prep for next week's show, or I've got to get my video recorded, or I have to meet with my team, or I have to go and do a presentation or do my one-to-one coaching calls. All that is specifically lined up in the calendar. Now, what that does, I know what I have to do when I wake up in the morning. I know what my intentions are when I wake up in the morning. Here is what I have. Here's what I'm going to achieve. At the end of the night, no matter what went wrong, no matter who told me no, no matter what idiot cut me off in traffic, let's be real, right? We're all human. At the end of the night now, I'm going to look back at that calendar and everything's going to go, and I just use colors, whatever. Everything's going to go from orange in my calendar to gray. And if everything went gray, guess what, man? I killed it. I achieved my day today. I get to go like this, Dave, I did a good job. Look at how much I accomplished. Check. Now I'm going to write in that grateful journal. And I'm going to be specific that I am grateful for. And part of that could be I am grateful for winning my day. I am grateful that David Finale invited me on his podcast today. I am grateful for, and I continue to write that down. Well, now, how is it possible that that word no from that one individual is going to set me off and make me go to bed angry? I can't. I looked at my day. I killed it. I looked at all the good things that happened today. They totally outweighed all the bad. Life is good. Let's go to bed and do it again tomorrow.
Absolutely. I mean, there's so much out of what you just said is like Mindshare. I'm sorry. That's what I was looking at.
You can say Mindshare all you want, brother.
But, the consistency of what you're doing and the gratitude journal is also very important to make that one no or those few no's. I mean, Sekou, who's going to come on with us in a couple of minutes, he always says, let's not assume the no, let's get the no. And then we move on. It's like next. I would say the word you need to listen, you need to get ready to say is, okay, if they're not going to go along with you and you're not going to get that deal, you're not going to get that appointment, next. Because rejection in real estate and mortgage and whatever it is, I mean, it's the biggest part of our businesses, right? But being consistent and to continue to go after it with everything you've just said, with consistency in your gratitude journal and you're being specific about what you've got to do and get done. Look, someone said to me the other day, says, Dave, you being so busy, because they wanted me to do something with them. And says, how are you going to have time for this? I said, it's really simple. I finally figured out how to practice what I preach. And what I preach is setting up those time blocks. And you talked about there's a certain time you're going to check email and do all that stuff with social media. That's how I've got it set up. And that's what I coach is tell people, look, you cannot get bogged down in social media or your email because you very much can. Right? Set a timer on this thing. Do whatever you've got to do to not let that happen. And if you time block, 15 minutes in the morning, 15 minutes midday, and then when you get home, go play with, do whatever you want. I mean, or 20 minutes, whatever. You're not going to get caught in that vortex of Facebook, in the vortex of email and all that crap. So want to just shift a little bit here. We were talking the other day we talked about doing videos, social.
Hold on, Dave. Sorry. One thing, I apologize. One thing that was going through my mind as you were saying that, I apologize. And let's
go ahead.
Here. For everybody, get up thinking every time you make the phone call, every time you do anything, people are going to tell you no. Okay? Instead of thinking they're going to say yes. So if you do the door knock, you do the cold call, you go talk to people, think they're going to say no. This way, you're not disappointed. This way, when they say yes, it's like, this is exciting. as opposed to, and I know people might be going, well, that's kind of negative. No. Listen to what I'm saying. You're going to go out and do these things. You're going to get upset when you don't get what you want because you expected to get what you want. Well, what if we expect, and listen, I'm going to say this, being grateful and practicing intentions, one of the things is to go, I am going to get this. This is going to happen. And more time, and I'll tell you right now, this happens with parking spots close to the front entrance. I know when I'm pulling up, I'm getting that spot. Okay.
Absolutely.
So there's something about that. Yet in the same breath, I'm going to say that when you're speaking with people, because people are people, you cannot control what people do.
No.
Don't expect that you're going to get everything you want. Be prepared to get it, but be prepared for what may happen. And now it's not going to let you down and really change that mindset. I hope that didn't sound confusing, but I wanted to say that because I think all too often we expect everybody to be bang on, like sharp and amazing and all that stuff. And people start to let you down, and then you start to get down on yourself and you start to wonder what you did wrong. And, most times it ain't you, but mindset's a big deal.
Right. I want to just quickly thank a lot of people for being on here. Matt Tafadi's on.
Yeah, Matt, I want to say what's up to Matty. Haji was there.
And Matt says the next no gets me closer to that yes.
Right.
And that's so true. I want to ask you about we've talked about so much. We've got so much to go through, but that we'll get to it. But that's cool, right? We talk about and we talk about fear a lot in our lives. We talk about people not doing videos and not doing what they should with social and marketing and all that other stuff. Talk a little bit to marketing and to social and social proof a little bit. And then we're going to bring on my buddy Sekou in a couple of minutes and to get through with that. Okay.
Yeah, I think what people need to internalize with this, and I have this conversation a lot with people, right? Like, and I said this a few moments ago why do they want to hear from me? How am I going to help people? And I remember being in Arizona, speaking at an event, I think in the spring of this past year as well. And I was down there, and this lady comes up to me at the end, and let me paint this picture for everybody for a moment. We are in this really wicked little event space, an event space, but behind me is full glass. And outside the glass, and remember, guys, I'm from Toronto, Canada. We don't have this type of stuff. We've got golf courses, but there's not only just a golf course, but there's palm trees, there's cactuses, there's like this beautiful scenery that, again, I don't get up here. And I'm looking at this like, this is awesome. And I'm saying to people, I'm like, did anybody post up yet today and say like, here, this is my office for the day? Anyhow, talking to this lady, and she comes up to me after. She's like, I hear all this stuff that you're saying, and I get it. I'm with you. She goes, but I don't think people care what I have to say. And it goes back to one of those. And I said, well, did you tell anybody that like this is your office for the day? She goes, I don't know why anybody would care. And I said, can I ask you a question? And this is to everybody right now listening. Are you on Facebook? Oh yeah, of course. So you scroll. She goes, yeah. So, but you don't really post. She was like, I'm like, so you're a stalker. She's like, what? I'm like, no, seriously. All you do is you get on there and you scroll, but you never say anything to anybody. You never post anything. You're just watching everybody else's life. She's like, well, I'm like, no, just go with me here. What are you doing while you're on social? She's like, I don't know, eating a sandwich or whatever. I'm like, okay, cool. Why don't you say something? And she goes back to this thing of, I don't think people care. And I've heard, I don't think people care. And I've heard, well, I'm scared what they're going to say. Once you get over that and you start to realize, and again, this is the beauty of this ongoing theme we've got going on today, you will get more people, or more people tell you that they don't care, or more people that don't do, or more people that take zero action than people that do. Right. So even if you get that one, like you get that one view, you got to realize that that's probably 10 times, that's probably multiplied out there. So there are people that are watching. I mean, hell, you're all watching. You're there. You're watching us right now.
Right.
How many of you are saying anything ever?
It's just like, it reminds me of a line I heard from Chris Smith. He says, the $1.80 social media plan, give your 2 cents 90 times a day.
Okay.
Right.
Why not get out there and tell people what's going on? Look, when you do that here, in a relationship business, in a sales world, it is about connecting with people. That bottom line is your goal every single day. It's not to go out and sell the widget. It's not to go out and help people buy the house. I mean, that's your ultimate goal of what you want. But what you do is you connect with people, not just through social, not through video, through phone calls, through seeing people, through emails, through mail, through websites. All of it you need to be using. And that's what helps you build mindshare and makes people realize perception, because perception's real. That's what makes people realize that you are real. And now because they see it more consistently, they are more tied into it. They feel like they can reach out and make that connection. So now, if you feel that way with people, why don't you do the same? Okay. Well, I'm scared. I don't know if they care. Again,
Right.
come back to it though.
Right.
You are there. You just got to flip.
Right.
You got to flip this whole thing and go, but I'm there. I'm watching it. Now what ends up happening to the social proof thing is now what ends up happening is that people start to like, they start to comment, they start to give you that one good thing that goes, wow, that feels good. Like the lady who messages me the other day and says something along the lines of, you don't realize how inspiring you are to me. We don't know each other, but I watch your videos all the time and they're so perfectly timed. I just wanted to reach out and say hello for the first time. Right. And I'm like, oh my God, right? Like I messaged her back. I'm like, perfect. I'm going home for the day. Thank you. Right. Which I'm not really going home for the day, but like, come on, I didn't get paid for that. I don't know who this person is. You know how cool that is? Now, why does that happen? That happens because of consistency. It's because you continue to do it and you believe in what you're doing. So now if somebody can reach out to me and say that, and I know I've reached out to many people and said that. I reached out to somebody and said that yesterday. Thank you. I appreciate you. Right?
Right.
When we start to do that, now we start to accumulate this social proof. We start to get a fuel under, the fire to burn our fire deeper. And now what we're doing is we're going, well, if I got one, I'm sure if I keep doing this, I can get more. And as you get that, people start to share that. People start to tell other people, and now you've got what's called social proof. And there's a whole bunch of different ways to utilize your social proof. From, do you repost comments? Do you save the stuff? Do you post it up later? Do you tell people about it? Do you rip a video about it? Do you let other people talk about it? I mean, but as you're more consistent and you're wanting to help people, this reciprocity thing, people help you in return.
Absolutely. And consistency, we've used that word many, many times. And, I'm very lucky. And I work with a guy that's who is coming on right now. He's my friend. He's my colleague and he's my associate. We work together and his name is Sekou Pyle. Maybe you've seen some of his stuff, David, but Sekou's a great guy. He's big into the space, really great on so many things. I have the pleasure of working with him all the time. And, he's a part of what I do. You can see the hat he's wearing.
I was about to say he's got a real cool hat on there.
Yeah, he does. So we wanted to put this one on. And
I only hang out with him so I could get the hat, man.
Yeah, that's what I was saying before. He's like, people just really talk to me for the hat.
Dude,
that's right.
First of all, I know you guys are into it, and I've been following along and watching. Dude, your hockey stick collection is epic.
Dude, I listen, I'm looking at my screen right now and it looks like I'm on just vertical mode, but can you actually get landscape mode here? Can you see the sticks over there? Like all the
I can see those sticks.
Okay, cool. So because it seems grayed out over here. I only got like this.
I got you.
All right, cool, man.
So I'm gonna go ahead and assume that cast on your arm is not from like tripping while you were taking an open house picture or something like that, brother.
No, man, I it's definitely from tripping, but I got tripped up behind the net chasing a puck, and unfortunately, this was the end result of that. I ended up going into the boards pretty hard, saved my head, which was good, but I ended up busting up.
You still get to use the most important finger, so that's not that bad. So
well, here, let's be right, exactly. Let's be real about this now. Let's go back to this underlying thing we got today. Okay, when this happened, the first thoughts going through my mind, the first is immediate thoughts. You go down and everybody's piled around you. Man, you okay? And I got up real quick, like, please, I'm good, right? Shake off the gloves, shaking off the wrist, and I'm going, okay, yeah, I think I got this. I'm going to get back out on the next shift. And I'm looking at my wrist, and I'm like, shit, that hurts, man. But I'm good. And I get up to skate to the bench thinking I'm going to go shake it off and get back out there. And I look at my finger. I'm like, oh, that don't look good. It's going in different directions and stuff, man. There's bones. So I'm like, okay, this ain't happening, right? Now, this was the first bone I've ever broken in my life.
Ooh.
And what I end up doing is my body ends up going in shock. Now I go back to the dressing room and I'm sitting there trying to get my wits together because, like, again, never happened before. That's one of those uncontrollable things. No matter the mindset, like your body is going in shock, right? So I'm sitting there, and as I'm trying to get my stuff together, instead of being angry, and this is where I'm going with this, instead of being angry, instead of being depressed, right away I said to myself, and I believe this, guys, this guy didn't do it on purpose. Thank God it is not my right hand. Thank God it is only my hand. Okay? Because there are people that suffer way worse things in this world. And that was immediately the first things that went through my mind. Now, I'll tell you this, about 2 years ago, never. I would have been like, okay, where is this guy? Where is this guy? Right? Mindset. So now I will tell you, fast forward to today, haven't taken a single painkiller. This happened October 24th. This thing's coming off on Monday. No, Dave.
Done.
That's the intention. It's coming off Monday. There's no nothing about that, right? It's coming off. Not a painkiller at all. And through mindset, and I actually did a podcast, a Mindshare podcast about this, but it was how to heal a broken arm based on mindset alone, right? Something like that. Based on mindset, we can start to control our emotions. We can control what we do in life. We can control what happens to us in life. And people do not realize how powerful that really is. And I'm telling you now, through that, I'm going to prove that it healed a broken arm.
I love it. I love it. We were talking this morning. So I get the great like pleasure and honor to talk to really big thinkers daily.
Cool.
Right? I do a stand up with our group, and I get to address some of the issues that are underlying that people don't talk about and things like that. So this morning, Finale and I were on our role play session, and it's completely about role play. It's not about anything else. But knowing that you were going to be on and knowing that mindset was such a powerful thing, we got into the mindset of role play and the mindset of your facial expressions and things like that. We were talking with one of the agents about the RBF. I don't know if you know what RBF is, but it's resting bitch face.
Oh.
Right?
Yeah.
And how she's used to doing it, and if she was to do something else, how crazy it would seem. If she was to walk around smiling, how crazy it would seem. And so I shared a piece of my past where one of my best instructors taught me that walking around with a closed fist takes twice as long to get a handshake.
I like it. Makes sense.
Right? So
we use the same analogy in hockey. If you get the stick in the air, it takes longer to get the stick on the ice and get the puck out of it.
Exactly. So I was a fighter back in the day. I used to fight all the time. And so this, for me, is real easy. I could, whatever. But you live in this space where you're constantly in defense. You don't move forward.
Right.
Right? There's no forward momentum there. And so you're usually in defense backpedaling.
Yep.
Right? And there's been some great defensive fighters and Ali and all of this and that. The reality is that when you switch it on, when you switch your mindset and you move forward and you forgive, you preemptively forgive for the broken arm, for the broken finger, for the lesson of the broken finger, for the lesson of the broken wrist. And you're grateful that it is just your wrist or just your hand. It's not your dominant hand, et cetera, et cetera. That mindset propels you so much forward, man. You just taught me a lesson, right? You just taught me a great lesson. It reminds me when I was a kid. So like I said, I've been a fighter most of my life.
Yeah.
And one of my best friends in the world, a guy named Zach, right? And Zach is arguably one of the most talented jiu-jitsu combatants in the world. He continuously ranks number 2, like he's older than me. Like he's in his 50s. He's kick-ass, right?
Yeah.
When we were teenagers and we were just messing around, Zach taught me, he said, listen, fight everyone the same. You don't have any more malice or any less intention for anyone that you fight, even if you're practicing, even if you're sparring. And we were playing around one day, and I went too far in, and he kicked me in my jaw, dislocated my jaw. And my anger back in the day would have been really easy to try to jump on him. I probably would have been twisted into a knot if I did. But he's such a good friend of mine that he stood up, he fixed me, he helped me up. You shake the dust off you and get the bells out of your ears. And he said, I thought we were going to fight each other the same. I thought we were all fighting the same. And the lesson came in that, man. And those lessons come from the broken fingers, from the dislocated jaws, from the trips, from the falls, man. And I love it, man.
You know what, man? Like, I mean, I think too is even for this one person you were speaking to about the RBF there, right? And it's like, If I don't, what are people going to think? How are people going to see me? And I got to tell you, and like for years, man, for years, I didn't have a podcast. I didn't get on video. Hell, man, I used to, back in my days in school, I was a very different human being. One thing that always held true was I always liked being with people, with audiences, but certainly I was not who I am today. And we all have to evolve. We all have to grow. We all have to find ourselves, right? And I think that this guy was hiding deep inside of that guy. And that guy there is, for anybody, and I've said this many times before, but for anybody who grew up with me in school, in high school, never mind even, after that, they'd look and go like, what's this guy doing now? Like, for real? Now, that being said, you've got to get out of that shell because you're concerned about what other people think. And when you get out of what other people think, you begin to grow, right? And we know one thing. Anybody walking around with RBF and you're looking at them, you're like, I don't know. I can't say anything to her or to him. What are they going to say? Let's just leave them alone. Yep. Well, if this business that we're in always comes back to connecting with people and you're not doing something to connect with people, instead you're like detracting from that, well, you're doing yourself a disservice. So the flip side to that is now, you know what? Get out of your comfort zone. Stop worrying about what people have to say or how they think. Put that freaking smile on, right? And move forward. And then you're all of a sudden going to look at yourself at the end of the day and go, that kind of felt good. I'm going to do that again tomorrow. And then all of a sudden you're just going to start seeing things change. And then all of a sudden you're going to live this different life and realize this is the life you should be living or were meant to live. That you don't know why you were there, but you can't even understand it anymore. Right. And now things begin to change. And again, it comes back to consistency in this, right? You got to do it again tomorrow and again the next day, because now here's what happens. Right. And Dave, I think I said this to you the other day, and anybody who knows me and follows me knows I've said this many times, but just for the purpose of today's show, I would say, I used to pull up to hockey, and go figure, I like hockey. I used to pull up to hockey though. And I can still remember the first time this happened. Pull up. I'm pulling into the parking spot, and my buddy is standing there, and he goes, Dave, you mind sharing today? And I looked at him in a little bit more of an explicit way. I was like, yeah, but I didn't say it to be rude. I said, like, hell yeah, pretty much. Like, you know what I'm doing, right? Well, now fast forward. Now, and those are my boys. I've been playing hockey with these guys for a long time. These are my friends. Like we sit around, we have a couple pops after the game. We joke around like little boys, never mind, right? So it's like we will rip into each other about anything and everything, and it's all good fun. Like we leave and like we love each other, right? But you're going to get the genuine stuff from your friends, right? They're going to make fun. They're going to poke. They're going to know the guy you were and look at the guy you are and kind of go, I don't get it. But now fast forward. With Mindshare alone, forget kits for a moment. Mindshare alone, 4 years of we're talking consistent, everyday dedication. Now I pull up to hockey, they're rocking a Mindshare hat, right? And now the paradigm has shifted because they believe that I believe in what I do. They now believe in what I do. Now it's for real. Now it's not a joke anymore. It is real.
Right.
And now everybody takes it seriously. Right. They know who I was. They know me. They know who I am, and they believe it. It's not just me going, today I'm going to be this guy, tomorrow I'm going to go back to that guy, and then maybe the next day I'm going to be somebody else.
You see, what you've been able to do is you committed to doing it, which made you consistent with it. And I go to I say, who knows where I'm going with this, the C's and the 4 C's is like, you've committed to it. And I'm really big on commitment, right? So you committed to this thing a long time ago, and they had to see that you continued to do it, that it wasn't a fad, And it gave you and they helped you get the courage to move forward, which gave you the capability to do it even more because it fueled you and it gave you the confidence. And that's what everybody is missing, is they don't understand how important the first C, that commitment is to doing it. And the commitment has a lot to do with consistency. You know what I mean?
But you can want whatever you want. I mean, we all want it. But please, I'd love to have a private jet like Richard Branson. No problem. I'd love to have different islands I can fly you guys to and say, forget about doing this on Beeline. Let's go there and do it. And I'll fly you boys. I want that, boys. Reality is I don't have that. But I know that if I want it, I got to commit. I got to be consistent. I got to work towards that. And when I live it and breathe it, well, hey, that's how I'm here with you guys today. And again, I'm very grateful that you guys have invited me to be here today. right? That's
Yeah.
part of it. Is now these things start to happen, little, big, NAR, Dave. Why did we run into each other at NAR? Who knows?
We were
Something
supposed to.
set that up. Why?
Right.
Because we were both committed to what we're doing.
That's right.
That's why.
Dude, so earlier, Dave, I heard you quote my granddad, man. Don't assume the answer is no. Make them tell you no. And that's from my granddad.
I did.
There was another quote that he used to say when I was a kid. He says, "Don't be greedy, be consistent." Right? And so as we grow in this business, I'm realizing that the greed is for attention. Right? It's either positive attention or negative attention. Yeah, the money, the this, that, all of it is either positive or negative attention. So when you have somebody that says, "Hey, I'm afraid that they're going to say about me," or I don't know what to say, or whatever, that greed is that quiet little space, the safety that they're in, right? The consistency over time, not only will people look to you for what to say, but they'll look to you for how to say it.
Say it.
And they'll also look for you on how to have grace under pressure when things go wrong. That consistency, I'll take that over the greed of attention every day, every single day. I don't know if you've ever seen our Wednesday when Dave and I are doing like our 2K Wednesdays.
I haven't
Right.
yet. I'll tune into that though. Let me know.
Brother, so every Wednesday we get together to make 2,000 contacts. And then on the first, we're going to get together to make 10,000 contacts live.
What do you mean contacts? What are you guys doing?
Living, breathing adult humans that we're contacting about
How you contact them?
sales, every which way, phone, instant message, live broadcast, social media posts, whatever.
And you guys are contacting 2,000 people a day?
In 3 hours. We made 3,600 contacts in 2.5 hours on Wednesday.
I love it.
And of those 3,600 people, 70 of them turned to appointments. There were 16 leads. 26 leads, 16 appointments. 16 confirmed contracts in those 2.5 hours.
So let's be real. You guys heard the word no way more times than you heard the word yes.
Hell yeah, B.
But look what comes out of that, right?
It's mana to me. The no is mana to me. It allows me to move on.
It's like, perfect. Right? We got another one. Beautiful. There's a yes coming, right? There's a yes coming. Same thing I teach my hockey teams, right? Because I'm a hockey coach. It's the same thing I tell the kids. They're 8 years old. No, I know. Go figure. I like hockey. But same thing I tell the kids, though, is the same thing is, guys, if we don't shoot, and this is why we've always got somebody in the stands who's tracking shots, because at the end of the game, I go back, I go, okay, cool. We look at the score. Did we win? Did we lose? And we look at the shots. And the boys know it. We look at the shots, and we go, how many shots do we get? How many shots they get? Cool. What was the score? Right? It's like the other night, my beloved Maple Leafs won a hockey game 6-0. Okay? They had 54 shots on net. Now, let me bring some perspective to this. I had to look this up because I went 54 shots. I'm a hockey guy. Teams don't get 54 shots on net. So in an average NHL hockey game. So I went back and I did some quick Google digging, right? My buddy Google. And I said, something around the lines of like average number of shots in an NHL hockey game. And essentially over the past 100 years, the average number of shots has come to about 30.
Wow.
These guys had
collectively.
54. Yeah. Collective, 30 per team. Okay, that's kind of your average. So sometimes it's going to be lower, sometimes a little bit higher, but they kind of give her an easy number 30, right? These guys got 54. They won the game 6-0. Yeah. Put that in perspective. Yeah. So now this comes back to the more we shoot, the better chance we have at scoring. It's just simple math, right?
Right, and the whole thing behind
it. We added another statement: the more we shoot, the more we score.
That's it, man. Yeah, it's easy though, right?
Wednesday, right? The important part is that everybody's got to understand, but people can't understand the 2K Wednesday. I did an event on Tuesday night, and I said, we do a minimum of 2,000 contacts in 3 hours. They go, how the hell do you do that? I said, well, we invite everybody to come on and to give us their numbers. Anybody from any company can do it. It's not company specific. Just join in. It's a fun thing. And David, at this location we do it at, we've had between 20 and 30 people just come to sit there from different companies, just sit and make contacts. It's just, it's really cool. Sometimes there's 4 people, 5 people, but a lot of times it's 15 to 20, right?
That's cool.
And I was talking to some agents the other night, and I said, would you be able to do 100 contacts in 3 hours? Oh, I'd be lucky to do 25. I said, how long have you been in the business? About 15 years. Really? Can you imagine the difference it would make in your business if you just determined and were consistent in the number of contacts you make on a daily basis? Holy shit, think of that.
But that's why I said, what's the job? The job isn't buying and selling widgets or houses or anything we do. Connect with people.
There you go.
The more you connect with people, the more you're going to achieve. It's bottom line. I mean, again, you got to get those no's to get that yes.
Dude, you're a hockey guy. I'm a fighting guy.
Yeah.
We used to say, my coach used to say, don't lose a fight for lack of fighting back.
Right. I like that. I like that, man. It's funny. I was looking at that ring. I'm like, at first, I'm like, yeah, I wonder if this guy won a Super Bowl or then I started thinking. Then you said fighting. I'm like, shit, I don't want to be hit with that ring.
I'm a lover, not a fighter. I'm a square.
Yeah, I just taught that to my daughter the other day. I taught her that. That's funny. But that's it, man. It's you got to connect. I love what you guys are doing with that. I got to tune into that. Please keep me posted when that happens the next time. I mean, even tell me ahead of time so I can kind of fit that in. I want to watch that. I got another buddy of mine who I had on the podcast a while back, and this guy's just a cold calling machine. But the thing that I love about it is he doesn't just do cold calling. He goes live on Facebook and says, that's it. I'm locking into my hour. I'm going to cold call. And so he actually lets you listen into what the person on the other line is saying. Then if he starts getting into that moment where it's like he's actually going to get an appointment out of it, he mutes what they're saying so you can't hear which is all privacy and it's the right thing to do. But it's amazing. Hey, I'm so-and-so. No. Hey, I'm so-and-so. No. And you watch them and then all of a sudden you're like, okay, no. Boom. Yes. Right? No. And he's sitting there smiling. And I said to the guy, says, you're a beast. I love it. I love what you're doing. Right?
Dude,
there's the difference though.
But you know what they tune in for on 2K Wednesday, right? To see me crash and burn, bro.
Yeah, bro. You see, here's the other reality. You're not the only one that crashes and burns. And in fact, everybody that's tuning in is probably crashing and burning. So it's nice to see somebody else crashes and burns. Well, let everybody know we all crash and burn.
Dude,
you know how many times I'm told no? How many times it's like, somebody will even, Dave, you mentioned about public speaking, like doing all the keynotes and stuff. Dude, do you know how many I get? How many more I don't get?
Yeah.
Straight up, I'm telling the world that. That's the way it goes. But you're not going to get, this sounds kind of weird. I don't know if this is going to come out. You're not going to get if you don't get. Does that make sense?
Right.
But if you don't try, forget about anything. You're like, hey, you could be scared. Don't try, and you don't get nothing. But you also don't you don't get right.
Exactly, and this has been a great broadcast. We're running up to noon, which is it goes long, and which is great, right? And we've had some great broadcasts in a row. I mean, Sekou, thank you for coming on, taking the time. David, thank you so much. I want to, tell everybody. I mean, we've had great shows. We got a great show next week. We've got Nick Krem from Content Cards coming on. Nick is a great human being, a character, and he's going to talk to you more about staying in touch with people and everything else. So, David, I want to thank you so much for being on this broadcast.
I'm going to cut out. You stay there, David.
Sekou, nice to meet you, my man. I hope we catch up again soon, man. Thank you very much.
Certainly will. Thank you, Dave. Thank you for having me. I'm out of here, guys.
See you later, brother. So anyway, thanks so much for coming on. I want to thank everybody for tuning in. We've had Matt DeFady on. We've had Patricia Garcia on. Matt was on. We've had Ryan Hodge was on. Cynthia Stamboulin was on. We had a whole bunch of other people on. We've got a whole bunch of comments, mostly from Matt. Matt's a great friend and a great marketer here in New Jersey, who I know is a fan of yours, and you guys know each other. Again, David, thanks for coming on. Stay on for a second when we cut off, and everybody will see you next week. We got Eric Krem, and we've got Nick Krem, and we've got so many great things coming up in the next 6 to 12 weeks. We've already got planned. Thanks a lot, everybody. Take care.
Thanks, Dave.
Welcome.